Hi everyone. Over the last few weeks, I've been on a few excursions, which made me think I probably had enough footage to do a new episode of the vlog. Um, Let me try and think what order things happened in. I think the first little walk I went on, I met Woodrow Phoenix, who's an amazing comic artist and writer. He does all sorts. He teaches comics and stuff as well. Um, and he had contacted me about a portrait of Aretha Franklin that I drew quite a few years back for a comics project that he really liked, and he wanted to buy it from me, which was lovely. And I actually couldn't find it for ages. I had to hunt through my studio several times before I found it, but I eventually did. So we agreed to meet in a park. We went to Brockwell Park, which is not too far from me. I walked there. And I'd actually never been there before, so it was really nice to see it. There's a really nice walled garden there, which I did some filming in, so I'll show you that in a bit. It was really nice to meet up with Woodrow and kind of have a comics chat. Over the last few years, I've had a little circle of comics friends that I've met up with every few months in London, which has been really, really nice. And obviously we haven't been doing that during the pandemic, so that was the first kind of comics friend I'd sat down and chatted with for a while. And I think he said it was the first time he'd had a face-to-face kind of meeting as well since this all started. So it's kind of nice to sit and talk about comics. I also went on a walk with my friend Ruben from the National Theatre, who I'd been meaning to go for a walk with for ages. We finally managed to make it happen. And we also took with us his boyfriend and another lady that used to work at the National quite a few years ago, Frances, who was kind of a legend of the National Theatre back in the day. She retired a few years ago, and she joined us for the walk, which was lovely because I'd seen her really, really briefly in passing since her retirement, but hadn't really spent time with her at all. So it was really nice to kind of find out what she'd been up to and how she'd been coping with the lockdown and everything. We met outside the National Theatre and started our walk there, which was quite strange because it's the only time I've been back there since March, my last sort of shift working there. And I hadn't really seen the building, and it was quite sad, to be honest, to see it. And I caught a glimpse of some security guys that I used to work with before all this happened, and I lost my job there, so it was kind of sad. So we started on the South Bank, where all the arts venues are, and we walked east. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, east along the river, down to Rotherhithe. It was really nice. I hadn't really been out that way that far before. It wasn't the best day. It was kind of a bit rainy, but it was dry enough that we could kind of have an occasional drink sitting outside a pub. And we had a little picnic on the river too. It was really nice. I didn't film a lot that day, but there's a couple of bits that I can show. And then wanting to make the most of the kind of summery weather before autumn really kicks in, because we're having a little mini heat wave again today. The other day I went with my friend Rupert to walk in the kind of North Downs, Surrey hills. We went to a place called the Happy Valley, which is a really lovely name. It's kind of Croydon, Surrey, North Downs area. I'm very bad at geography. And part of the route was kind of along the Pilgrim's Way, which is this kind of ancient walking route that pilgrims used to take from, I think, Winchester to Canterbury. Let me have a look. Yes, that's right. Winchester to Canterbury. And there was this tiny very old church called St. Peter and St. Paul's, which had an amazing mural inside. Really dark kind of imagery of kind of hellfire and stuff. And it's called the Doom Mural. It's mentioned in the Doomsday Book, apparently. And from what I gather, the building of the church began in 1086. So it really is very, very old. It's a very small church because obviously back then they didn't create massive structures very often. But the mural was really interesting. I managed to film a little bit of that. And it was a really lovely walk. We saw some pigs, and we just generally had a good long walk in the countryside, which I haven't ventured that far for quite a while. I haven't done my usual trip to Scotland to visit my mum or my trip to Devon to visit my friend Katie this year. So it was nice to at least kind of leave the city just for a few hours and kind of walk around in the countryside. And we were really lucky with the weather. It was really sunny and nice. So yeah, it was really nice to have a little outing outside the city. It was my first time taking a train in God knows how long. But yeah, I took a couple of trains and they were generally really quiet, so it was quite nice. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is that I'm going to start up a second vlog. I'm going to keep it on this same YouTube channel. And I'm going to kind of start doing more of my cooking and baking type stuff over on there specifically. So I'm setting up a specific vlog for cooking and baking. It's going to be called Cat Cooks, and it's kind of an area I've been wanting to get more into with my creative work as well, in terms of illustration. I've been wanting to illustrate recipes and do some comics based around food and cooking. I've got lots of plans that I can't really go into just yet. But I thought, kind of tied in with that, it might be cool to do a separate little vlog that's just all to do with my kind of cooking and baking exploits, which will eventually be tied into some kind of illustration and print projects, hopefully. So yeah, I'm hoping to film the first one of those very soon. So have a look out on this channel, subscribe to this channel if you're interested in seeing more of that stuff. I'll continue to do this vlog, which will be more about general day-to-day stuff, as well as my kind of writing and illustrating and publishing exploits. But so yeah, do let me know if there's anything you'd particularly like to see me kind of talk about on that's food related on that vlog. I've got loads of ideas myself, but I'm really interested to hear if there's any particular things people would be interested in. So what I have here is a box of copies of my new book. I've already seen a copy because we get some advance ones at the publisher ahead of the main delivery. But this is my little batch that I'm going to be selling online via my Etsy shop. So I'm going to open it up. Fantastic, I've got a good little stash here that I can sell. I've got a few orders in, some pre-orders already on my Etsy shop. Tomorrow I'm gonna sketch, draw and sign in those copies that people have already ordered from me. So I'm gonna film that and include it in the vlog as well. I'd say if you're interested in ordering the book, if you live in the UK, you can order it either from me or from my publisher. If you order it directly from me, I'm happy to sign the copy and draw in the front for you. I'd say if you live outside the UK, especially if you're in North America, if you order from Avery Hill Publishing instead, they have a sort of fulfillment company that means that they can charge delivery as local, so you won't be paying the extortionate kind of transatlantic shipping costs that I have to charge if I'm sending a book to America or Canada. So if you are in North America and you want a copy, you can get a much better price if you go via Avery Hill. So yeah, it's so exciting to see these. They've come out really, really well. And I can't wait for them to start getting into people's hands and people being able to read the story and let me know what they think. Last week I really wanted to treat myself to a little walk around a local park or something, but the weather was so awful I didn't get the chance to do it. But coincidentally this week I got contacted by a guy, a fellow comic artist, who wanted to buy an original drawing of mine. And I've arranged to meet him in a park that I've never been to before. It's a bit cloudy, but it's about as good as it's going to be for a little while. So the timing is good, and I'm excited to go and see this park. So I'm just about to head out for a little walk. What's kind of weird is that I just cleared out my backpack that I hadn't used since my last day at work back in March. And it was full of lots of stuff that relate to my job that I don't have anymore. Like I used to collect crosswords from newspapers and stick them in my bag, and I would have them in my pocket at work if we ever got stuck with kind of an hour of nothing to do, and I didn't have a book on me. And I also had packs of notes and things in there of training that we had been kind of right in the middle of when the pandemic hit. So very strange. I had been meaning to do it for ages, to go through my bag and take all that stuff out. And I was probably avoiding it because I didn't know what was happening with my job. But now that I know, I was able to just kind of chuck it all in the bin, which is kind of sad, but I guess it's just a sign of kind of moving on to the next thing. So I'm glad I got to do that finally. I realised when I recorded the other day that there's a few things I forgot to mention that I'm working on at the moment. I'm working on organising a panel with the Thought Bubble Festival for their online festival this year. So that's in mid-November. So the panel's going to be me, Guillaume Rater from Self-Made Hero, and Woodrow Phoenix, who's a fantastic comic creator, mentioned elsewhere in this episode, I think. And we're going to be talking about the topic of how to pitch to publishers. And it just occurred to me that since probably there's quite a few comics creators that watch this vlog, that I should mention it here, because something I'm going to be doing is putting a call out for people to kind of send me their questions of what they'd like to know about that, about approaching a publisher with a kind of book proposal. So if that's something you have some questions about, drop me an email or tweet me or whatever, and let me know what it is you'd like to know, and we'll kind of have a little pre-recorded debate that we'll be posting on the Avery Hill YouTube channel during the Thought Bubble Festival online in November, and we'll try and answer people's questions and see if we can kind of figure out how people can make the most of having that opportunity to send something in to a publisher. I'm going to be on another online panel in next month, I think. The fantastic Hannah Berry, who did the comic creator survey recently, and is doing a series of talks online at the moment. I'm going to be on, I think it's the third or fourth one of those. Anyway, it's going to be about the issue of audience in comics and how to build audiences. There's one happening this evening actually on the subject of money, how the UK comics industry might be able to help creators earn more of an income out of doing the creative work that they do. These are all really big topics, but there's already been one of these online kind of little forums a couple of weeks ago, and it was really good. It was really well attended. Really interesting points came up. So if you're interested in this field, I recommend kind of checking out Hannah's social media to kind of see when the next talk is happening and kind of follow along with those. They're free to attend. It's a live talk, so you have to be there on that date and at that time. But yeah, I really recommend taking part if you're interested in the UK comics industry and what could possibly be done to improve it or tackle some of the issues that were highlighted by her survey. And actually, another thing that I'm working on is potentially I'm possibly going to be writing up the sort of trying to summarize what came out of these kind of 5 online talks that Hannah's organised. I think they finish at the end of October. Possibly. The last one is at the end of October. And at that point, I'm going to look back over everything that's been discussed across 5 kind of talks, plus the survey itself. And hopefully I'm going to be writing an article kind of trying to summarize the main points of that. So if you do kind of miss attending any of these sort of live panels online, hopefully at some point there'll be an article I've put together summarizing what was discussed and whether any interesting solutions were proposed.